2023, a laid-off groomer was washing dogs in her driveway for cash. 18 months later, her van clears $7,000 a month. The math: 8 grooms a day. Here's the trap. People see $85 a groom and multiply. They picture pure profit, but clear means take home. What's left after fuel, product, insurance, the loan, and your own labor? That $7,000 number is the end of a long subtraction, not the start. Miss one line, and the whole story falls apart. Start with revenue. A full groom, bath, cut, nails, ears. Bills between $75 and $95 for the average dog. Call it $85. That's the number on the invoice, and it's real money in. Now the volume: 8 grooms a day, 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month. That lands somewhere around $12,000 to $15,000 gross. Gross, not net. Hold that thought. Why 8? Why not 12? Because a van isn't a shop. Between every dog, there's drive time to the next house. There's setup, leveling the van, filling the water tank, warming the dryer. There's teardown before you roll. In a salon, dogs come to you back to back. In a van, you come to them, one stop at a time. Pack the schedule too tight and you're late all day, which kills reviews and rebookings. Most operators who post their numbers to trade forums land on 8 as the honest ceiling. 12 looks great on a spreadsheet. It falls apart the first time traffic backs up or a dog needs an extra 30 minutes. 8 grooms times $85 is the engine. Everything after this is what the engine has to pull. That covers the revenue. Now the biggest fixed cost: the van itself. This is the part people underestimate by a mile. A built-out grooming van isn't a cargo van with a hose. It's a converted vehicle with a tub, a hydraulic table, a water heater, a generator, and climate control, because you're working in it 10 hours a day in July and January. Fully built, that's $50,000 to $100,000. Buy new and top spec, you're at the high end. Buy a used rig and refit it. You're at the low end but taking on someone else's wear. Most operators finance it. On a loan around $70,000, the monthly payment runs roughly $1,200 to $1,500. That payment is due whether you groom 40 dogs that month or 0. Then stack the rest of the fixed nut. Commercial insurance, vehicle plus liability, because you're handling other people's animals, runs a few hundred a month. Business permits, licensing, a booking app subscription. Add it up, and you're carrying something like $2,000 a month before a single dog steps into the tub. That's the number that scares people off. It should. It's also the number that makes the volume math non-negotiable. Fixed costs are the same every month. Variable costs move with every dog, so let's count them per groom. First, fuel. You're driving between houses all day, and a heavy van burns more than a car. Call it a couple of dollars of gas per stop. Then water heated in the van. Then product. Shampoo, conditioner, the good stuff for a matted coat, ear cleaner, cologne. A few dollars a dog. Blades and shears go dull and need sharpening every few weeks. Spread across the dogs they cut. That's cents per groom that adds up. And card processing. Almost nobody pays cash anymore. The payment company takes a small slice, roughly 3%. So on an $85 groom, that's about $2.50 gone to the swipe. Stack it all together, and the all-in variable cost runs somewhere around $10 to $18 per dog. Here's the one good thing about variable costs. They scale cleanly. Groom more dogs. You spend more on product and fuel, but the per dog cost barely moves. There's no surprise. Unlike the fixed nut, this line rewards you for volume instead of punishing you for a slow month. 8 dogs a day, that's maybe $100 to $140 in variable cost daily. Real, but survivable. Now the cost nobody puts on the spreadsheet: your own time. 8 grooms doesn't mean 8 hours. It means a 10 or 11-hour day. You're not just cutting hair. You're answering texts, booking the next week, driving between every stop, and eating the no-shows. The client who forgot, the dog who's too aggressive to safely groom, the gate that's locked. Every one of those is unpaid time you can't rebook on short notice. Then the admin nobody sees. Chasing late payments, ordering supplies, cleaning the van at night, the quarterly taxes. So do the honest hourly math. Say the van nets $7,000 in a good month. Split that across 4 or 5 weeks of 10-hour days, and the effective rate is decent. But it is not the $85 an hour the per groom price makes it look like. It's a full-time job, with a commute built into every hour. That's the refrain most people miss. The van doesn't buy you freedom from work. It buys you a route. and a route only pays if you run it yourself, most days of the week. Skip that math, and the $7,000 headline turns into a very expensive lesson. So assemble the whole picture. Gross at 8 grooms a day, about $13,000. Subtract the fixed nut, loan, insurance, permits, roughly $2,000. Subtract variable, fuel, product, processing, call it $2,000 across the month. Set aside taxes on what's left. And what lands in the bank is that $7,000. Now the one decision that changed everything. The master answer this whole story turns on. It was never the price per groom. It was committing to 8 grooms a day, every working day, and building the route to make 8 possible. That single choice is what separates a van that clears $7,000 from a van that clears $2,000, and a payment you can't make. Here's the honest verdict. It works, but it works at 8 grooms a day, consistently. One slow day breaks the math, because the fixed nut doesn't take a day off. This is for the person who likes the work, wants to be their own boss, and will run a full route without flinching. It is not for someone chasing passive income. There's nothing passive here. The lesson underneath all of it, revenue is not income. The $85 on the invoice is not yours. The $7,000 after every subtraction is. The van is a route, not a shop. Want the next step? Scaling to a second van and a hired groomer, and why that math is completely different. Subscribe and we'll walk it. These are ranges, not promises. Your numbers will vary.